Okay, so this is 3.3 or 13.3. Okay, and we're going to start off with intercepts. Okay, basically what an intercept is where basically the line crosses the x-axis. Really all it means. And the y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. So that's all it is. And they're really just talking about the ordered pair when that happens. Okay. So when you look at this line here on this graph, it's crossing the x-axis right here. Okay. So the x-intercept there is going to be -1 and 0. Okay, remember y is 0 along the x-axis. That's its coordinate. For any point that's along this x-axis, y is going to be 0. And the same thing on the y-axis. For any point on the y-axis, okay, x is going to be 0. So when you see a 0 as your at part of an ordered pair, you know you're looking at some kind of intercept. You just got to decide which one it is. So right here, okay, where this was -1 and 0, this is 0 and 5. Okay, so 0 and 5. So you just got to remember, you know, which one is which. All right, because remember, if you start here and move over, y at 0, x is 0. So if I move over here to -1, I get -1, but y is 0 there. Same thing here. If I start at 0, 0, and I go up to this point, well, x is still 0, but y is 5. Okay. And this is, and knowing how to, you know what the x and the y intercept are, it makes things, you can graph a lot really, really quick using these. Okay. And later on, they're nice things to know if you're going to write the equation of a line. So you can do some things with it, you know, to make things a lot faster. So let's go to the second. Okay, so I know that I told you, well, I don't know if I told you this or not, but in this section, we're just going to deal with linear equations like straight lines, but they throw this curve in here, but we're not going to do curves in this class. So they threw this in here just to see if you could figure out, you know, hey, what are the intercepts? So this line here, it's crossing the x-intercept right here, or the x-axis right here, and right here. So those are all x-intercepts, okay? So when you go to write those, you'd say, okay, this first point here is -2 and 0. The second point here is going to be 1 and 0. And the third point here is going to be 3 and 0. So you got 3 x-intercepts there, okay? Now, when you go to the y-intercept, okay, that's right here. Okay? And what you got there is no x is 0, and it's crossing right there at 6. So there you go. And you're done. All right, so they want you to graph this this linear equation by finding and plotting the intercepts. Okay, the easiest way to do this, okay, is you can make you a little table if you want to. Here's x, here's y. Okay, for the y-intercept, you know x is 0. And for the x-intercept, you know y is 0. You could also do it down here. Okay, down here, I'm just going to figure out. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug 0 in for x. Now remember, when I plug 0 in, that's going to be 2 times 0. That basically goes away. Now divide both sides by -6 to get y by itself. Okay, so you get this. You're going to end up with y is equal to 2. Okay, and then you turn around and do the same thing. You plug 0 in for y, it basically goes away because negative 6 times 0 is 0. Divide both sides by 2, okay, and you're going to end up with negative 6. And then you just plot those 2 points, okay? So let's start with the x-intercept, okay? Okay, so let's plot that. Start at the origin, go to negative 6 and plot. Okay, and then for the y-intercept, you know that's 2. So start at the origin, go up to 2, plot your number. Okay, and there you go. All right, you're done. So it's pretty easy. All right, just plug it in zeros and then figuring out what the other coordinate is. So that's that part. Let's go here to the next one. I feel it's going to kick me off here. Whenever it slows down like that, it usually does. So slow that up. Now, they want you to do the same thing with this one. They want you to graph the linear equation by finding and plotting the intercepts. Okay. Well, when you do that, here's the deal. Remember, for the x-intercept, y is 0. When you put 0 in for y, that's 3 times 0. You get out 0 for x. Then you do the same thing. You plug in 0 for x, divide both sides by 3. So 0 divided by 3 is going to be 0. You come up with the same thing. You'll see that the y-intercept and the x-intercept are the same. So you can't graph this equation by doing that. Okay, but what you could do is you could do this, and you learned this earlier. Okay, remember, it doesn't matter which variable I choose points for. I can do it for the x, or I can do it for the y. Okay, so I just pick the point for one variable and then figure out what the other one is, the corresponding coordinate is using that. Okay, so since I've got x is equal to 3y, I'm going to choose points for y. Okay, so if I plug in 0 for y, you already know you're going to get 0. Let's plug in 1 for y. So 3 times 1 is 3, so x is 3. So now you have 2 points. Now you can plot this equation. So you say 0, 0, and then go over to 3 and up 1. There's your next one. And there's your line. Okay, and you're done. So every once in a while, you'll run into that where the x and the y intercepts are at the same point. Okay, and you can see that right here. Okay. So you just, you choose another point so you can graph the line. In this instance, we couldn't graph the line plotting the intercept, so we had to do something a little bit different. All right. So for the next one here, it says graph the linear equation by finding and plotting the intercept. So you try it, pause the video, take a shot at it, and then come back and see what I get. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick 0 for y. Okay, so when I do that, I'm going to get 0 is equal to 2x minus 4. So let's add 4, add 4. It's going to be 2x. Let's divide by 2, divide by 2. We get x is equal to 2. Okay, so that's 1. And then for the y-intercept, I'm going to use 0 for x. So that's easy. 2 times 0 is 0. Okay, so I'm just going to end up with negative 4, so I don't really have to do that much. Now I'm going to plot those 2 points. Okay, so let's plot 2, 0. So that's right here. And let's plot 0, negative 4. That's right there. And you're done. So not bad. Okay. So let's open up this last page. Okay, so you're going to have, you're doing these linear equations, basic equations line. There's 2 cases where you'll get a horizontal line or vertical line. Okay, and what it is when you're talking about horizontal lines, you're going to get y is equal to some constant. Okay, now I'll show you some things that, you know, are a little bit weird, but on a horizontal line, you'll just have a y coordinate, or basically a y variable. All right, you won't have an x. All right, and it's the same thing with a vertical line. Vertical line, you're going to have x is equal to some constant. Okay, spell here constant. Okay, and basically what these look like are, you could see like this one right here. Okay, you got y is equal to -3. Okay, so really you can think about it as, hey, they're telling you that it's an equation, but you can kind of look at that as, hey, that's the y-intercept. Okay, we'll get into this a little bit later, but the slope is 0 on a horizontal line. And so you're looking, when you see the equation for it, you can kind of think about it as like, oh, that's just the y-intercept. So you can go and go down to -3. Okay, and in the program, you have to pick a point on either side. Okay, and then it'll snap the line for you. So that's what that looks like. Okay, and also for a horizontal line, you're not going to have an x-intercept because it's not going to cross the x-axis. Okay, it might lie on top of it, but it's not going to cross it. Okay, but like this one, they could have started off like saying y plus 3 is equal to 0. They could have given it to you that way. And all you do is you just get y by itself. So you subtract 3, and you end up with y is equal to -3. And you go to -3 on the x-axis and draw your line right through it. Okay. And it's the same thing with the x. Okay. They could have started off saying x minus 4 is equal to 0. So you think, all right, well, I'll just get x by itself. So I add 4, you get x is equal to 4. Now this is going to be a vertical line, but we're doing the same thing. We're going to go over to 4 on the x-axis, and then we're going to draw a vertical line right through. Okay, so this one here, okay, like x is equal to 4. You're really looking at, hey, that's the x-intercept, and then we'll draw the line right through it. Okay, and also, you know, you don't have a y-intercept with a vertical line because it's not crossing the y-axis. Okay, so that's all there is to it. All right. The problem usually with horizontal and vertical lines is people get confused. They usually get it backwards. They'll make a vertical line, the y is equal to some number. They'll do the same thing with vertical lines. They'll make some horizontal line out. Okay.